Soccertown USA. If you type in Soccertown USA on the computer, on YouTube, there'll be a story will come up about our hometown.
We'll talk about it. We'll get right back to the games. I mean, the matches it's amazing what's happened. The 104 matches that are happening across North America with FIFA. It's just incredible. But let's start with this. I mean, you grew up in Soccertown, USA. Why don't you share with everybody what that's all about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much time you got, but it's good. We do the whole discussion could be on Soccertown USA. I'm proud and honored to be from a town called Kearny, New Jersey, which is well known as Soccertown USA. If you type in Soccertown USA on the computer, on YouTube, there'll be a story will come up about our hometown. And Irish, Scottish, and other immigrants came there a long time ago, and one of the first pro games ever was in Kearny. And we're a small little town of 25,000 that produced great players, mainly from having a passion and playing in the street. So if you having nothing, playing in the street, trying to get inner city via soccer. So Kearny's huge. It's historic. I mean, you've traveled the world. It's got me opening many doors in my career, in my life. So very proud of that town. Check out the documentary. The big story is obviously John Harkes, Ramos, Tony Meola, three starters for the U.S. national team over a few World Cups. Lived in the same neighborhood basically, and three starters of 11 players on our country is pretty amazing. So, and it goes back to the early 1900s and then up through time, and even through today, it's still a tremendous soccer place.
What do you think made the town so special?
Yeah, I mean, the immigration piece was big, right? The industrialization of the United States and people coming over from, maybe from Scotland, really. They settled there and got into the thread mill factories. And, it's just in the kids just grew up, the generations grew up in there as soccer kids, right? And so we grew up as a soccer kid. I mean, I'm a Celtic supporter. It's my team, and so we had the Protestant Catholic thing going on in town. We followed global football. But the real thing that really made the players better is that we played day and night with the ball. You were sitting at the kitchen table with the ball at your feet. You walked down the street with the ball at your feet. We went over to New York City on the PATH train with the ball, and literally people ask me, how did I get to where I've been today? And the answer is I kicked the ball off the high school wall a billion times. And that I need to count someday, but I think it could be possible that we loved the ball, we were with it all the time, and we had intense competition between all of us. So the history coupled with the, how we played and who we were, and how we had nothing else except for soccer to get out of there was made it successful.
So growing up, I mean, I guess, a soccer ball was dropped in your crib as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too far, because there was other sports that did well too, right? So I don't want to dismiss that. But basically, yeah, I mean, if you didn't play soccer, you weren't really cool, So if you wanted to be the cool kid and compete and be the star in grade school and junior high and high school, you wanted to play soccer, right? Our high school team was really good. We produced players like that played on the Cosmos, St. Formoso back in the day. So the whole lineage, of kick players that went up to Hartwick, which was like a major college back in those days for soccer. And we all kind of wanted to be who those guys are, right? Yeah, so yeah, it was in my blood from day one, I guess. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, all of basically almost all the players got scholarships to college, right? I'll get into my college days in a minute, but yeah, it was great. All of the colleges around the country came and recruited from our town, which was interesting as well. So yeah, yeah.
That's really incredible. So as you said, after high school, what happened next in your career?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of college coaches came, and watched us and knew us, and we had some really good players. When I was a senior, Jerry McEwen was, like John Arnott, like All-Americans, and a couple of the guys are All-State. And I looked at Air Force Academy, I looked at Connecticut, I looked at, Rutgers, and a bunch of places, but I went on a recruiting trip down to North Carolina State. The coach invited me down there. and I had a great time. I went to an NC State Carolina basketball game, there, sorority parties. The sun was out in North Carolina, and soccer was just growing then in the country, right? In North Carolina State, it was the first year or second year you had scholarships, right? So I'm like, okay, I can go here and I could play here my freshman year because I watched them practice. I'm like, I could play right away. So beautiful weather, beautiful people, whole new culture. And I knew I would start my freshman year for sure. So I went down to NC State and had a pretty amazing career down there. Also, major culture shock come from Kearny, with and going to North Carolina. And back then, I wasn't even sure if people had accents. Like, I never flew around the world or, I remember rolling out a window asking, where's I think the Case Athletic Center. And some guy said, well, y'all got to go down there past the Hardys and past the church and down and do 2 lights and make it right. And he talked for like a half an hour, and it was like 2 blocks, I'm like, so the whole Southern culture thing mixed with our New Jersey, need the answers, get going was culture shock. But I had a great experience on there, and I spent a lot of time in North Carolina before I came out here.
What position did you play?
Yeah, I mean, I was like as a little kid, you're scoring goals, right? And as you get older, everybody wants to score goals. So I was a midfielder mostly through Walthall High School in the midfield, and then in college, believe it or not, I played sweeper my first year, because that's when the whole like building out of the back thing became. So they wanted like a skilled person, and so I became a defender, and I was all ACC defender in my first freshman and sophomore year. Then my junior and senior, I moved up right back. We brought in a bunch of Nigerian guys that were like big time guys, ex-pros, where they can go to college back in those days. And they kind of pushed me over to right back. So I played right back my last 2 years. But as captain, I scored 13 goals over the course of my career there as a defender, which was not too bad. And we had my senior year, we had a really good team. We made the NCAA tournament. And I had a good experience there. But Clemson was the team that we couldn't beat back then. They had pretty much all Africans, a couple of New Jersey guys in there, so a couple of English guys, but they were really, really good back in the day. We can never get past Clemson. They were, historically a great team. So yeah.
So you're at NC State. You're playing there. You graduate, and it's not like soccer. You're going to put soccer off to the side, right? You kept it going.
I mean, thank God, I was a recreation resource major, right? And I got a job at the Raleigh Parks and Rec Department, right, pretty much out of school. And I bartended. I already did the bartending thing for the whole time, right? But working for the parks department in the city couldn't really make any money. And I was like doing like refereeing, like umpiring baseball games, refereeing basketball games, and doing like that's JC Park it was called. I mean, it was kind of a cool job. But my coach from college and one of his friends opened a soccer store in North Carolina. So that was the big switch when I got out of my recreation major, and I went and managed a store called Soccer Kick, which was a franchise store, one of the first franchise stores, soccer stores in the country, right? So I went there, we opened the store, managed it, and even back then, like we brought the electrician in to like do the lighting and everything. He's like, am I at the right place? Saucer Kick? What's saucer? Like, they didn't even know. I mean, this is a huge gap of where we are today from how old I am, basically, what I'm showing. But so we opened the store there, and I worked in the store for a couple of years before I embarked on my Nike career, which is kind of fun. Didn't like being in the store because you're stuck at retail, taking care of customers all the time, and the sport's going on out there, So it was still playing a little bit. I tore my ACL right after college. So, and I wasn't good enough to play tournament. I was really no pro back then anyway. So I took care of the store, which was great, got me in the industry. And then it also, you announced me as a referee. I'm not really sure I want that on my resume, that big a deal. But I did move really fast up the ranks as a referee. So I got out of the store on the weekends at night, refereeing games. And actually, I rose really quickly. In 1992, I reffed the NCAA Women's National Championship game, which was, pretty amazing for a young referee to break through and get there. And and I did games all over the country, but my accolade was was refereeing a women's NCAA championship game in the middle. So it was cool. And I have a good story about Mia Hamm and Caroline girls back then too, because they won it. I have to tell you that whenever we moved to that section. So
Yeah.